assuming that you could, you're probably looking at about $30,000 to $40,000. I would rather say, you know, why don't we put it up for the summer, maybe through Labor Day, and then the problem with possible fading over the sign is just not going to happen because it's not going to be up long enough. I mean, we're not going to keep these prices forever. So I'd rather say, you know, let's get an exemption for maybe 6 months period, rather than putting up a $30,000 sign, which ultimately going to take out by year end.
For the larger banner.
Right, yes.
Well, I apologize, I probably didn't, I wasn't real clear on it. Not fancy, no size, just a flat piece of tin with that vinyl flat on it. Recently I purchased a 40 by 30 for $600.
Okay, so you're not talking about a fabricated metal sign with the actual price, okay.
Nothing lit, this banner's not lit, so we're talking about a lit sign, just a flat sheet of metal that would prevent the wind from, makes a better presentation. I think it looks more
You're
professional.
saying that would have vinyl on the...
That's right, the vinyl, the same vinyl that would go on the plastic banner would go on really thin, very lightweight tin or sheet metal instead of a banner material. Just a thought. Lake Dallas, they don't allow banners so for longer than a 30-day window. They recommend that you go with a it has to be on some sort of a permanent metal surface so that it doesn't catch the wind. I kind of like that idea personally. I just think it looks a little bit better. But I certainly understand, you know, we don't want this to be cost prohibitive. We want you to bring more money back, not spend a bunch of money. It's in advertising and getting people there and having special events there.
Well, we are definitely pushing that as well. We have our local management here really doing a community push to market both we have film exclusives. We've been working with the studios to get, for example, Albert Nobbs was an exclusive to Hickory Creek, and we really are pushing. And it's hard with the studios because we're pushing for exclusives at a theatre which over the last 3 to 5 years has not had a great attendance record. So we're really pulling out all the stops on this to get people back to Hickory Creek. Because in the long term, we can't continue as we're doing right now because we're not making money.
Let us advertise on the town newsletter.
We'll do that, yeah, absolutely.
There's opportunities.
Yeah.
Councilman Kennedy, you have something?
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Gordon over there. You're a great asset to the town of Hickory Creek. The 6 by 30 feet I noticed right away. And the 18 by 50 feet I think I'm going to notice the same way. And anything we can do to help, I'm for it. I don't understand the 18 by 50. If 3 of us have noticed it, I don't know who hasn't noticed it or not. What other avenues are you guys taking to try to uptick the attendance besides the banner?
Well, we're doing inside the theatre. We're doing all the pricing signage as well. We're doing it on the concession stand. We're doing it on the trailer before the trailers. We're doing on-screen shots as well as the pricing. But that's assuming we get people into the theatre. Obviously, if people aren't in the theatre, they're not going to see that new pricing. We're doing flyers at the local colleges. We're having college specials as well. We're certainly got college-appropriate movies like Animal House and things like that. So we really are pushing as much as we can. We just want to, you know, the location of the theatre is ideal for advertising the pricing on the side of the theatre.
Any combinations with the restaurants next door to combo up and help each other out?
Not right now, no. That's thought of. The problem the movie theatre has is that, you know, most of our revenue comes from concessions. So it's a fine line, and we have done in the past, and we do, you know, at certain theatres we do, you know, say you could get a burger here, you get $2 off your ticket, but then your concession revenue is going to go down.
Yeah, okay. Again, if we can help, we're here to help, obviously, and whichever way we can. You're a great asset, so hopefully we can come up with something.
Any further questions from me?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, discussion?
I truly have mixed emotions on this. I think the rate is excellent as we all do for Hickory Creek. And I do think people that go there do go to the restaurants and spend money and help our tax base. I want to do what we can to help. The size concerns me just a little, and the length of the sign concerns me a little as well. I'd be much more comfortable with like putting it to the July 4th weekend and then coming back and letting us reevaluate it before we extend it another 3 months or something.
So you're saying go with the increased size, 18 by 50?
Go with the increased size, but shorter than time frame in case it starts wearing or, fraying or whatever. If we just set it forth for 6 months, it could, I know they don't want to have anything wearing bad up there anyway, but I think I'd like to take another look at it after about 3 months of it being up. I think 6 months I'm uncomfortable with.
Like a 90-day review.
Right.
That could be a good indicator for both of us.
Yeah,
Where
no,
you
no, I'm open to that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have a problem with the size, but I would like to see maybe a 90-day with a review at that point to say, could be extended another 90 days.
I also think this is something worthy of a newsletter article for our town. I mean, this is a prime example of why our citizens, I know we're a small town, but why they need to not go to the Sidmark. I love Sidmark, but they'll go to the Sidmark, shop and spend your money in Hickory Creek. Because if that theater did in the future go dark at some point, that hurt our restaurants, hurt our image, and none of us want that.
Okay, so am I hearing 18 by 50 with the 90 days relook at this?
I would be in favor of that.
So we want to make that motion, we'll go from there. Now, we want to talk about the metal backing or just the vinyl sign itself?
I'm not an expert on metal backing. If that's cost effective,
I think that would be up to the rate.
May I?
Sure.
The problem with the metal backing that I see is the way the sign is hung. It's hung down from the roof. So it's not attached, obviously that's not attached to the actual wall of the theatre. So a metal plate would, for health and safety, would have to be affixed to the actual wall. Then I don't know how easy that's going to be.
That was kind of the point. I did want it permanently affixed so that it wasn't flapping around and it was just more aesthetically pleasing.
And we can see, but I'm definitely looking into fixing it in the top corners and in the bottom corners as well so that it's firmly secured.
Yeah, I just don't see 4 corners holding down this huge of a wind cell. Personally, I'm no expert either, but I have bought and built signs, and a simple metal plate using screw, just regular screw right into the side of your brick there will hold that metal plate and just have the same vinyl sign done by a local sign company that does them all over our 4 cities. They're pretty. I would be surprised if you spend more than $500 to $1,000 on just providing the tin background, metal background. Doesn't really matter to me. I'm just thinking of the other large signs that I see up and down 35. No banner is sitting still. They're flapping in the wind. And of course they have the cuts in them, and I understand that they try to build them as strong. The grommets in the corners and the plastic around the grommets, but they're going to eventually rip out. And someone's going to climb back up on the roof and repair it. And it's going to take a week before code enforcement finds it, and when she does find it, it'll take a week before we get a new banner replaced. Just thought we might eliminate. So I'm willing to give you the option. If you investigate it and you find that that's a good solution, just know that this council might appreciate that extra effort.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, based on what you're going to entertain, can we entertain a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve an exception to Grave Cinemas LLC, 8380 South Simmons, for a banner not to exceed 18 feet by 50 feet for a 90-day period effective April 1st.
Okay, Council Wise, you made a motion, second? Second. Yes, with 3 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay, item D5 will be on, we're going to table that item to the next agenda. And we're going to go to D6, consider action request for a temporary certificate of occupancy issued to Extreme Iron on September 8, 2011, up to a maximum of 180 days. All right.
Good evening, council members. My name is Frank McGuire. I represent Extreme Iron, Hickory Creek, 6060 South 7th Freeway. And I've been petition for an extension on my COO. Went through the P&Z meeting and they had some great suggestions on monitoring. I understand you guys have a responsibility to know what's going on, and it took me a lot longer to get the funding in place and get my machine rolling, and we're there, but there's no way I can accommodate the first go around, so a suggestion was brought up that I agree with. Every 30 days I'll give you a report, and I'll give you a summary schedule more or less of what we were doing now, phase summary schedule, and then give you a report. And it was suggested that I submit that to Amy, and probably the first of the month, so you guys can review it, and feel free to call me with any questions of concerns, citizen concerns.
How are things coming out? What's the next step over there?
Well, we actually started before the monsoon last week, and now we're drying out a little bit. Right now, we're in the first phase. We're actually addressing all the underground utilities and going through and identifying all the utilities that were supposed to be there that weren't put there last time around. Which were kind of interesting, but that's where we're at now. And then later next week, we'll be starting the foundations of the big buildings. And I can put this into a real simple type that anybody can follow, you can actually see, and certainly open for discussion on how we proceed. It took me just a lot longer to get this thing going.
Questions from the council?
No, just, the planning and zoning did unanimously pass it, and the suggestion that Mr. Frank just made was what they came out with, just to send the council an update, or to Amy, and she forwarded to council up here, so I thought it was a good suggestion. It'd be great to keep us up to date, and as you just said, what started, obviously, is the ground, some dirt movement I saw over there recently since that meeting, so.
Mud movie.
Mud moving.
Nice to see some activity.
Oh, amen.
I think based on the last agenda, we want to be business friendly. We want to help propel your business and make it, what we talked about 6 months ago, basically be there.
Well, I appreciate that too.
So,
Any
questions?
problems completing it within the 6 months?
Not as I see right now, barring meteor storms.
We have rains.
Well, rains are factored in, but hopefully we're moving a little bit past that right now. And it's actually a better time to start. I gotta get my guys into that building. I'm telling them right now.
That's a question I've had people ask me, when are they gonna redo the building? So what
Well, that's-
point in that, is that early in the phasing, or is that late?
That's phase 3 of a 4 phase. Actually, we're bringing in all the utilities to it. But I'm getting the main structure up and then treating it all as one structure. So I build the big buildings first, and then you skin and paint and do all the stuff. It becomes a one structure, not fragmented.
And do you have that structure in?
Yeah, no, I have the structure in pieces all over my yard.
But I know it took time to get it, but it's all there, ready to be, you're not waiting on more
No,
parts?
the structure's there. The actual metal building was fabricated and delivered and paid for, and I was waiting to get the loans in place like we discussed. And we're a very unconventional business. And we changed our business model to the good. I'll give you, a lot of answers will be answered. I'll give you the summary that you can follow, and in case your constituents call, they'll have answers. And my phone is always on.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion? Entertain a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Is there a date that we need to, just from today?
Today.
Okay.
Oh, I see. September 8th is the last.
Okay, so from today,
Won't be 180 days from
from
the,
the last one.
yes,
What day is that?
let's see. It expired, Frank, you remember what, was it March 9th?
I don't know. I don't remember. It was a week or two.
Yeah, I think it was March the 9th.
Okay, so effective from March 9th or March 10th?
The ending date of the last one.
Or when you
Just
see
Ken?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request to renew the temporary certificate of occupancy issued to Extreme Iron from the last expiration date up to a maximum of 180 days.
Okay, Councilman Key's been a motion, with a second. Second. Councilman, 3 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to item D7, consider an act of a resolution authorizing the establishing and creating Hickory Public Improvement District Number 1, cover approximately 39 contiguous acres within the statutory jurisdiction of the town of Hickory Creek at the northeast corner of the intersection of Park Ridge Road and Turbidor Road, providing findings with regard to the visibility of the public improvement project proposed to be undertaken by the district with regard to the visibility of the district, providing findings with regard to the cost of proposed public improvement projects, the boundaries of the proposed district, proposed method of assessment, proposed appropriate of costs and related matters, authorized the director of the town secretary to publish notice of the resolution, providing an effective date.
Mayor and Council, my name is Kirk Wilson. I'm here on behalf of CTMGT Turbeville LLC, which is the owner of the 39 acres in the extraterritorial jurisdiction of Hickory Creek, which is subject to the petition. The petitioner did file this with the city in accordance with the rules to create a public improvement district. The purpose of the district is to put an assessment on the property to benefit the property, purposes of water, sewer, drainage, and roadways. There are some other supplemental services this district will charge. One would be administrative service, whatever third party you hire to calculate the assessment annually on each lot. That would be something that the property owners out there, which at this time is only the developer, will pay. And then there is a supplemental number that will be decided annually by your council, and that is for a scope of services that we haven't yet defined yet, but as we go forward, will be defined. And there'll be 2 actions that the city council will be asked to take over the next month. The first is tonight, actually creating the boundaries of the district. And the second is the actual levy, the capital levy that will take place on April the 23rd or 24th, whatever that day the council sets that hearing for. I'd be glad to answer your questions.
If we go to the resolution that's before us, section 3, where we get down into some of the costs and sort of thing, you had sent me this chart. I didn't realize everybody didn't have it, so
I didn't have email addresses, and I thought they would be distributed to.
Okay, well, I thought it was being sent to the town secretary, so I sent it to her and she printed it this afternoon, so everybody hasn't had a chance to see it. So you might want to just, if you have a copy of this, you might want to walk us through this.
Okay.
I think that might be helpful for everyone, so that we kind of see where these figures are coming from.
Good, I know. When we get into the levy hearing on April 24th, we'll get into more detail here, but I'll kind of tell you what each page is about so you can better understand. The first page, at the very top, where we have category 1, category 2, and category 3, we usually have more than one category of lots, but because this is only a small project, there's only one category of lot. It's a 60-foot width lot. There's 160 of them. In phase 1, 77 lots will be put down. In phase 2, 83 lots. The next section is a rough budget for how much would be spent in each category of expense in phase 1 and phase 2. And your benefit plan, your service and assessment plan, that the town will approve on April the 24th, will include these cost categories and the cost numbers. And how this basically works is these costs are total and then divided by the number of lots, since we have an equal category of lot. If I had 3 different categories of lots, we'd have a little bit more complicated service plan because the benefit would be different based on the size of the lot. In this case, we would take the total, divided by 160, and that's going to be the assessment. In this case, our costs are probably going to be more in the range of $5 million, but we're not able to levy that amount on this property because the dynamics don't work, people can't afford to pay that much tax, so we don't levy the full amount, we only levy what's reasonable and realistic under a payment schedule, because most people don't pay their assessment the first year.
Can I ask a quick question on that first page? I understand, everything is very detailed, and I understand that. Until we get down to soft costs, of $810,678, what are the soft costs?
I didn't bring my crosstabs with me, but
Just in general?
those would include engineering too, so 810,000 includes engineering. And that there are some permitting issues with the core on this property, and the water study alone is 280,000, so that's included in the 800,000. On the next page, page 2 on this, basically just walks you through lot sales, how much we think an average lot is worth, and reimbursements. That's how we calculate the assessment. The assessment is probably going to be $4,500,000, not $4,700,000 by the time you get to hearing. But our petition included $4,707,000, so that's how we figured this at the time. And in values, we've estimated average homes of $273,000. So the total build out, there'll be approximately $44 million in value within the boundaries of that property.
And again, that's assessed value, not retail value.
Correct. That's what we estimate will be on the tax rolls. And then the next page is somewhat how we back into debt payments, and we try to figure out what an equivalent taxation level is just on the capital component for the project. And these are just used for notes, so when you got that, these are just notes. The next thing is the average home and then taxes for each applicable subdivision, Lake Dallas Independent School District, Benton County, and then the debt portion of the debt, administrative, roads, and emergency services. And so in this particular example, the tax rate is $2.78 per hundred. And the next page is an estimated 35 years of payments. These will be more exact in your service plan, but these were our original estimates. And the service plan exhibits are already done, and we'll have those next week. And each category here that's listed, this is principal and interest, administrative costs, and then the column where the road repairs are, there's really not any road repairs anticipated, probably 15 or 20 years, but every year we charge a lot, so the fund will build up so that those roads could be repaired at whatever point they need to be done. And this amount, our engineer will issue which has happened, associated with your town engineer as well, they'll issue an official report on their estimate on this number. And then the number to the right is the number that we've been talking about. What is the scope of service going to be? This is a plug number we put in here. We expect that number not to be over $500. That's where we need to be. This can't really be over 500, but somewhere in that range, we think that's reasonable.
Question on the administrative costs.
Yes.
Is that a fee to have a third-party administrator of the PID?
Yes, there's two companies that handle these things nationally, the major ones. Unicap and Tosic, East-West Coast. And those companies take all these accounts and every year make a calculation and provide you with a report annually and say, here's what everyone owes. You guys approve the supplement. That's put on to the county tax bills. And then if anyone has any questions, there's a 1-800 number. Both companies provide the same level of service. You dial 1-800 in your account number, and they can tell you your payoff is a little bit different than taxes because they have to be able to give you a payoff. And company goes up by $10, that goes on the bill too. So that's a discretionary decision the council has to make, supplement what they're here.
And does the third-party agency, do they negotiate the contract with the county for whatever it costs the county to collect?
They handled that, and in Denton County didn't have software for the assessments until Trophy Club in December of '07. And at that time, the developer, which is this developer, bought the county the software. So now they have software, Unicap, or whoever can walk into the county and do the program.
So then, back to where I was originally on 4, I see then, I think we can understand where under 4B, the 4.707 million comes from. The 60,000 to establish the district, is that detailed for us somewhere, or is that, tell us about where you arrived at the 60,000 to
That's
establish?
an actual cost the developer's paying in legal fees. So that just becomes a qualified amount. And there's many times when we don't have enough qualified expenses and we're trying to firm up. In this case, we have more expenses than we do, so it's not really an issue, but we do record it as a qualified amount.
So that's not, that $60,000 is not something that we reimburse, that's just part of what you're using to qualify how much is actually qualified expenses that can be used.
Correct.
Okay.
And all costs related to creation are qualified. And then there's two blanks, I think C and D. And what those are for is really what is the assessment the first year in those categories. And really the answer is 0 right now, because your supplemental for whatever EMS services we define, that's for occupied homes, and there won't be any in the first year. And as far as the road fee, that would be 1 year after the recording of plat. So that's the reason those are 0.
But at what point do those need to be filled in?
The second year, but we as the developer want to arrive at a method or a number, a schedule to be able to put out to our builders as far as what we're getting for our money, what people are paying. So I need to be able to say this is the number or the methodology how we're arriving at it.
On the $57 for the road, you said 15, 20 years. I mean, we've got subdivisions in town, and we've been in here for less than 10. Average road bonds, 3 to 5 years. That's only $5,900 a year with 160 units built out. I mean, that's not gonna, that wouldn't crack the concrete, you know what I mean? As far as, from what we've seen as far as road failures and so forth, in some of these newer subdivisions that have concrete roads. And I'm kind of worried about that figure. We discussed the EMS and police, we're still looking at that, as far as that's concerned. 57, 59, 26, $5,000 a year, or $6,000 a year is just not a lot of money for that. I mean, I realize that this is in the ETJ, but because the council was behind this bid and so forth, that could be some costs that could really.
I'm going to let half an associates give their independent judgment on this. They did that in Tarrant County for us. And this is about the number I think they'll probably come up with. But if it's higher, then they are our engineers, and they're also the town engineers, so they're going to say, I think, from an objective standpoint, what that needs to be.
Right, and and it may be that they base that on more units versus 160. Because I just, like I said, just looking at some of the costs we've had in the years back, I mean, that's not gonna pay for much if there's a failure past the road line.
Well, you guys hired half and trusted them, and so do we, so I'm going to let half speak to that, and I won't, 57 may not be enough. If it needs to be more, then we'll rely on half's estimate, because they will be the ones providing you the official report in that section of this, so we'll look at them to provide that.
Lance, you got a chance to look at this. I know we sent you some questions actually the week before last on some of those. I think everybody's on the council's got a copy of those questions and answers. What do you see over in the pit when you discuss this with Kurt here today?
Well, I guess especially in hiring developments of this sort, that generally tend to work pretty well. I guess my concern is about why we want to relook at those numbers in C and D. And we need to come out here with a number and explain to that. Because, if we start out with a number that's not going to meet the cost to make these repairs, to provide these services, then the council is going to be in a position at some point somebody at some point having to come along and add a considerable fee yearly on an existing homeowner. So that's my primary concern, especially since the council's going to be in a position of having to do that.
Right.
So I want to make sure that number is big enough, or there's a realistic number there at the outset, that y'all aren't forced to go dramatically up from very low number.
And you and I discussed maybe putting a ceiling for tonight for the sake of